didn't work. My intro music didn't work. Oh, it shut off right in midstream. Whatever. Do you know what? I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it for Mr. Lot, the Marine rapper. I don't know how I did that. It's not now. It's just gone. It's gone off my playlist. It's not even there anymore. Damn it! This is what we're professional all the way. Here we go. Here we go. And we're live. The last 10 seconds you saw, that wasn't live. That was what we call a peek behind the curtain and how we run this wonderful show. How it's not duct taped together in the midst of this wonderful quarantine. I was going to play the quarantine song. Have you heard that yet, Jeremy?
I just listened to it right before we started. It's actually really good. I like it a lot.
It is. A little shout out to Matt Best and all his crew, Tim Montana. I'd never heard of Tim Montana, and then I played some of his music, and it's really good. I mean, it's
like, he's got a solid freaking little grungy voice too. He's really good.
Yeah. Have you heard of him? Or have you heard any of his other stuff?
I have not.
He does he's total Americana. Like it's steel workers and cowboys, and I mean it's like country. I think it would be more like a grittier version of who's the skinny dude that I can't stand, but he started off as a rapper and then he started stealing like classic rock, Kid Rock. There we go.
Yep.
It's like him, but way better and more authentic. So tonight, let me pull up my scroller, my crawler, whatever we call that thing that goes on the bottom of the screen. We're talking about basically where this idea came from is good friend of ours, Mike Stojic and Malia Christie have Revival 1869. If you guys haven't been to Revival 1869, it's downtown Clayton when we're not locked in our houses under pseudo house arrest. It is a fantastic bar to go hang out. And we usually get there with like 5 or 6 or even like 10 veterans. We sit around on the couches and we just have a good time. And then this thing hit. And the so we talk a lot about, because I'm in medicine, so I talk a lot about the medical aspect of this thing, and it's very, very concerning. But there's another aspect which they are talking about, but we really haven't talked about it, and that's the economic aspect of this. So Revival had to shut its doors, and all they do is sell alcohol. And that sounds like a bad way to say it, but no, I mean, like you can't do takeout booze, you can't do takeout mixed cocktails, you can't do.
At least not here.
Yeah. So they're out of business, or temporarily, we'll say. I don't want to even jinx them by saying they're out of business, but they're temporarily out of business. They have bar staff, they have bills to pay, I can't even imagine what it's like to be in that situation. So Greg Morgan, if you guys might know him from VILF, he brought up an idea. He said, hey, we should get some folks on that are in business or in finance or whatever, and we'll talk about this stuff and see if we can come up with some answers. If you see me fidgeting around, it's because I'm trying to find the list of who's coming on at what time. I don't have it in front of me. So Jeremy, you fill the space here for a second.
So I just gave Greg a little love there. I'm wearing his shirt now.
Oh, you are? Let's see that.
Oh yeah.
Pop it up. Oh, there you go. Little plug there.
See, I can see now. I got to find my glass too. I can rep Revival 1869. I got their glass with me as well.
Nice. Yeah. So I talked to him and I try to text him as much as I can. Mike's a Marine, former Marine, and I'm always like, dude. I mean, it's not like his house burned down and you're like, can I come over and help you rebuild something? It's like, I don't know what I can do. I'm here, and maybe we can talk about that tonight. What are things we can do to support each other economically during this time? And he's selling, and he'll talk about it, I'm sure, but he's basically retooling his business model as on the fly as we go, so he can figure out how to keep the doors open. But yeah, it's got to be a huge stressor, and I can't even imagine what's going on. Do you know anyone that's having these issues right now?
I do. I have a couple friends who own businesses out in California now. One is a bar owner and one is a small restaurant owner. They make basically little street tacos right off the street. And with this whole quarantine, especially down.
Can they still do that? Can street meat vendors, can they still sell, I would assume, as long as people are.
As long as it's basically in a takeout container, they're still doing it. Granted, you know, it's California. They can do whatever they want. They have some of the strictest laws for anything. But, you know, if they're still allowing takeout orders, still allowing people to do that. And it's one of those takeout places where you can dine inside, but they also have a window on the side of the building you can walk up and place orders.
Oh, okay.
So it's still it's kind of like a street taco. You basically come off the street, order it at the window, and leave. It's pretty simple. It's like cookout here, but for tacos.
Are they doing anything? Are they making any changes as far as like changing their business model on the fly? There's a lot of cool things. Like if you pay attention, there's people that are doing some really cool things out there to try to just stay relevant in this totally shitty situation.
So right now, they're in Chula Vista, and he's currently basically standing outside as people are who can come by and get food, basically just handing out samples just to get people encouraged to come back and enjoy their food, because you got to get your food out there.
Yeah.
If you don't have people driving by, how else are you going to do that other than stand outside and wave, post on social media? Those who are out, one of the best ways, especially during this time, is word of mouth. Now that we have social media interaction, what better way than to get it out with your voice?
That's something that I mean, it's not like we ever had to deal with anything like this before, but I'm both impressed and shocked at the amount of, like, how do I say this? This couldn't have happened in a better time, right? It happened when we have all this access to each other just by following a link. I mean, Lewis sent me that link to the Zoom, and it's so awkward too, right? So I click on the Zoom link, and then all of a sudden here you are.
Oh, right up on it. Yep.
And everyone's staring at you, and you're like, so what's everyone doing?
Man, I guess you've clearly missed some of our talks.
Yeah, it's a little awkward on the get-go, but I mean, but it's still cool because you go there and there's like 50 people in there just goofing around. And when we did our movie night, what was that, a week ago? It was a week ago. Yeah. They were doing like a Zoom thing on the side there. So that's really, really impressed me. And every day when I go on, I'm like, I still find new stuff that people are doing. So that's pretty cool. And I think that is also going to be the saving grace of some of these businesses, or maybe open up an avenue that they hadn't thought about. You know what I mean?
I hope so. This definitely forces everyone to really think outside the box, really get their minds out there. But on top of that, it requires them to also reach out to other people. Whereas, yeah, a lot of businesses are self-sustaining, like Mike's business. His business was a booming. I mean, I was there a lot. I can't
It's doing really
say
well
otherwise. But that being said, now it's requiring you to think outside the box, and they're doing their it's their tonic mixes and everything. They've been selling that stuff, and it's absolutely amazing. I mean, what they do. I mean, their glasses are perfect for a couple ounce drinks just to sit at home and sip on. I mean, you can't go wrong, man. If you like their stuff so much at Revival 1869, little plug, you can get their stuff directly from them. I mean, they post hours of when they're going to be there, and if you want to come get their mix bundles, so to speak, they've got that ready to go.
And I know that they are, like I said, they're selling their syrups right now, and they're selling barware, like glasses and stuff like that. And I know they have T-shirts, and I'm pretty sure, I'm trying to pull it up right now as we speak, and I will. Give me just a second here. I'm pretty sure they're selling stuff online. So let me pull out of my butt.
So those of you who are watching tonight also on Facebook, I will be monitoring the chat and adding your guys' information or your responses and even some questions tonight just to add to the content.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. We've noticed with these episodes, we can pull people on whenever they want. So I think I put that out there that if you want to hop on, if you have something to say, either shoot me an email. I'm gonna have my email up here. I don't know if I should put my cell phone number out there, but yeah,
867-5309.
That's it. And yeah, do that. We'll pull you up. So let me pull up my screen share here, and here's Revival. So I'm not seeing where you can buy. Do you know what? I don't want to jump too early. We'll let Mike.
They've been posting it on their personal Facebook page and stuff like that. So it will be on there.
Okay, cool. You guys can check out all my emails here, and it's 8:10. So let's pull up our first guest. It's supposed to be Mike, but he's not here. So eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We'll go with Mr. Gregory. Is it Alan Morgan? Look
It
at that.
is.
Gregory Allen Morgan. Do you know what? The
How's it
people
going,
that
Greg?
people that have three names like that, there's always something a little off about them. Either they're it's always like an assassin or something like that, right?
No matter how severe the virus gets, I have not started eating people yet.
Okay, well that's good. That's a good thing.
Go for the vegans, close to grass-fed.
The question is though, if you haven't started eating, does that mean you're planning on it? It's in your plan?
Hey, if things get desperate, you do what you got to do.
That's true. That's true. All right, man. So you were the one that basically brought up the topic to this show. I put out some feelers, or I put out some info that we want to talk about, and just said, bring it to the show and let's talk about it. So what do you think? What do we got to pay attention to here economically over the next, I don't know, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, year, 2 years, maybe?
All right. So in my business, I'm already seeing some significant impacts to logistics with supply chain interruptions. In some cases, that is simply trucks not available to haul materials to me. But I also wanted people to start thinking about, there's goods that you may buy in the grocery store. There's pharmaceutical medications that you may buy that are made of imported base materials. So looking at not only the near term, but the long term, we could see some significant impacts to our way of life related to this COVID-19.
So, we hear a lot of people saying, are you going overboard with the medical aspect, which I don't think we are, but we won't get into that. I guess there's a question, you see stuff that comes up that says, hey, are we heading into the next, what do you call it, depression? Are we heading into a next recession? And everyone keeps saying, don't worry about it. Our economy didn't collapse because of something economical. It collapsed because something we didn't even plan on, right? But the foundation of the economy is still there. The jobs were there, and they will be there if we can get back, if we can leave our houses. The market was there. Like, everything seems to be there. Is this going to be do you think, a quick recovery, or do you think, because it's almost like you built a house of cards and you pull out the bottom one, the whole thing collapses? Do we got to rebuild from scratch?
I think we are going to have to rebuild from scratch. I think manufacturing operations, canning operation, packaging companies, I think everyone across the board is going to have to look for new ways to meet the demand. Mm-hmm. They're going to try to speed up their processes for packaging materials, goods, groceries, whatever the case may be. I think they're going to start looking for more sources to get those raw materials that they need for their operations. So I think the impacts are going to be long-term, and I think they're going to be significant. So once this is over with, I think it's going to take a while for the overall system to recover, and all of these goods, all of these materials get moving again, in order to even possibly catch up with this immediate supply demand issue that's going on right now.
So it's like it's almost as if, I think the Freakonomic book, I don't know if you guys have ever read that. That would be one of those things that I guess would give you insight into this. Have you guys, either of you, ever read Freakonomics?
I have not read it, but I've heard it.
Where it's like one thing completely affects something else, and you don't realize it, right? Like a drought in Mexico affects I don't know, llamas in North Africa. I'm making all that up, but there is some sort of interconnection with things.
If that was real, that'd be weird.
That would be. It could be. You never know.
If you wind back the clock just a few decades ago, the big thing with most any type of industrial operation, manufacturing operation, was Six Sigma. Everybody was preaching Six Sigma.
I do remember
trying
that.
To streamline their process. It became an issue of you wanted just-in-time procurement of your materials, your resources, whatever you needed. And now our system is being stressed to the max to where, supplies are not getting where they're needed to even meet the usual demand of average shopping. Then you've got this outbreak. People are having to stay at home. Their kids are at home. One thing that this has made quite clear is we Americans, we obviously eat out at restaurants a lot.
A lot.
And now that we're having to stay at home, we're actually having to buy groceries and fix meals to feed ourselves and our families. Our grocery system obviously just simply can't take it on the short term.
Yeah. And we were just talking about that actually before you came on. This is a weird situation in that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that the supply chain as far as food is going to be that disrupted. I think people think it is, so they're going out and they're just buying all this crazy shit and filling. I went. This is about a week ago. I was going into work and I stopped at the store early in the morning, and this woman was coming out with 10 gallons of milk. And I just stared at her like, "What? Seriously?" I mean, I don't know. Do you think that's in people's heads, or do you think that this is a legitimate worry?
I think it's a combination of both, to tell you the truth. I think it is a legitimate worry. Even though the truck drivers are out on the roads making deliveries, we've seen it living here in North Carolina. Whenever we have a hurricane threat, severe weather threat, big snowfall event forecasted, our bread, milk items all disappear off the shelves. We count that as normal.
Yeah.
When I stopped at the grocery store yesterday, I've never seen the shelves as empty as they were.
I know.
The products that they've sold out of, and it's been like that for a week.
Well, that's because people sit at stores and wait.
Yeah, it's going to take time for the grocery supply to actually catch back up.
Yeah.
From this initial wave of shoppers, and people need to understand that they don't need to go buy, a month's worth of groceries. Buy enough, because in my opinion, what I'm seeing in my area is that the empty shelves in the grocery store are forcing people to leave their homes every day and make daily trips to the grocery stores to pick up whatever items they can.
Yeah.
I think at that point in time, I mean, personally, I've been to Walmart probably twice in the last week and a half, and I've sometimes seen the same people from last week picking up the same stuff. Granted, I'm only picking up things that I know would last for a long time. There's only 2 people in my house, myself and my roommate. So we don't buy a lot of food. And if we do, we make food that lasts in meals. Whereas people are buying as much as they can, prepping for 2-3 months. They hear that this could go till August, and they think, let's buy everything.
It could, but it's not like 50% of the country's dying. If that happened, like let's say Ebola or some horrible thing with a 40 to 50% mortality rate happened, okay, that happens. It might be time to start playing with the you know what I mean? I was telling Jeremy I'm in DEFCON 3, not at 2, not at 1 yet, but I mean that's probably where you want to start worrying, because that's when you have a complete collapse of everything. Here, I want to show you this too. I brought this up. I got to do my screen share here. Slightly related, not really. It's more about the small businesses. But my next question is going to be really, are we doing enough small business wise? So I need it. You guys watch Joe Rogan where they have Jamie?
Yes.
I need Jamie. Jamie, pull that up. Can you guys hear that?
No, you can't.
You can't?
Nope.
All right. This is called On the Fly. Hold on. Let me try that again. Screen share.
So real quick, while you're doing it.
Got to share audio. That might
There you go.
Okay. So what? Go ahead. You can go.
I was going to say here on Facebook, Nate said I would put this whole thing as a Jenga castle. The game Jenga. One section may have fallen, but other towers and walls stay strong, getting stronger. You pull one piece out, that the whole thing, it may get a little uneasy, but every now and then, as you start pulling away, we start putting things back in certain slots to really open up how businesses go. There's plenty of distilleries now. Yeah, they're not selling alcohol, but now they have upgraded to selling hand sanitizer, which also goes towards helping out this crisis. So you pull one piece out, but you're putting a new one in, starting something new. So I think it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Yeah, things are falling apart, but things are also picking back up.
Yeah. All right, here's that video.
Last night, the Senate did unanimously approve an historic $2 trillion relief bill meant to ease the economic pain of the coronavirus. It offers hundreds of billions of dollars to big companies and small businesses, along with cash payments to many Americans. Nancy Cordes is on Capitol Hill. Nancy, what's next?
Well, next, this goes to the House, and senators tell us that once it passes there, some of this money could be put to work right away.
Which we know it passed.
Especially those loans to small businesses that convert to grants. Banks that are already set up to do this.
So the big thing right there is the
$350
billion for small businesses.
Hours.
And the unemployment
insurance for the likely millions of people who are being laid off should go up by $600 a week. by next week. And those cash payments you mentioned, Anthony, $1,200 for a lot of individuals, more for families. That money could be directly deposited into your account within the next 3 weeks or so. Now, if the IRS doesn't have your account information on file, it could take longer, up to 4 months, for them to mail you
File
a
your
paper
taxes.
check. Now, leaders are hoping that the bill's overwhelming victory in the Senate overnight, a 96-0 vote,
All right, that's enough
will
of that.
pave the way.
But I mean, the point is there. You know, what do you got now as a libertarian? And this is funny how I'm thinking about this. But as a libertarian, if you told me before this ever hit that, Kevin, in 3 months the government is going to spend $2 trillion on handing out money and increasing what do you call it, insurance for unemployment, I'd be like, oh man, come on. But now,
Right.
I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I don't know how to feel about it. And I'd like to get Dan on. Actually, maybe I'll pull up Dan here real quick. Here's Dan Mallard, the I think he's marketing rep of Reverent Warriors. And he's also
Welcome,
the
Dan.
coordinator, and he's all sorts of things for Reverend Warriors, but he's also got his doctorate in love and business management. So, Dan, what are your thoughts on the stimulus and what it's going to do for us?
So, it's interesting because when you look at small business in general, because personally, I'm a huge small business proponent, right? There is a logical reason and why we have big business, but small businesses run the United States. Like, in my opinion, that's the backbone of our economy. The SBA has already been doing a lot of things prior to the stimulus, right, to help small businesses. So if you are a small business owner, I would highly recommend you reach out to the SBA, the Small Business Administration. And I think the stimulus is just going to further what the SBA already does. I don't think it's been ironed out 100% as into how this is all going to filter and the money is going to go. And I heard that bill was 1,500 pages or something silly, but
oh yeah, with all their pet projects and stuff in there too.
Yeah, all right, cool, right? But I mean, that 450 billion or the number that you showed there, right? So I think a lot of that's going to come through the SBA. So, and I mean, if you're looking at this, like, I think that's really where small businesses and, the veteran-owned businesses and the folks like that, like that should be kind of that resource for you.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. I think the biggest thing folks are kind of underestimating is that nobody prepared for this. This wasn't something that we were like, oh, hey, this COVID thing, it's coming up, so let's plan and let's budget. And have mistakes been made? Sure, absolutely, man. I mean, but I think where we benefit as veterans, we understand, all good plans sound really good until the first gunfire goes, right? And
usually,
that's kind of where we're at, right? So that the shots were fired, we're in the battle, we're starting to maneuver, we're starting to get a little comfortable, and now we're starting to try to figure this out. So it sucks to say be patient. Where I work right now, I work for a 3-star admiral, and he basically has said, look, we are in a time of post 9/11. And that's a striking remark to make right now. I mean, when you think about what happened, like, I was in DC when that happened, right? So I was an active duty veteran, or active duty Marine, I should say. So to make a comment and say we are in a post 9/11 period, it really, if you look at what's happening, I don't think that's a far stretch to say at all.
I agree.
And, I think we would do better to focus on what our mission is now, right? So veterans, our mission is to not get sick. I mean, it really is, right? So I think the government's doing the best they can to help. But we are a capitalist society. I mean, and it sucks to say this, but there's some things that are good and bad about capitalism, and that's kind of what it is. But
do you think this whole situation will ultimately result in something worse than recession, or do you think it'll be just a really, really bad heartburn for six months? Or are we talking something more malignant? I'm using medical terms because that's how I think. It's how brilliant people operate. Just kidding.
No, I think so I actually did some pre-homework here, right?
Nice.
So the Dow, the Dow was up at 29,000.
Yeah.
So I always read the Dow. That's where, I'll be honest, that's where I put all my investments at, right there in the Dow. So it's at 21,000 right now. All right. So you look at that number, that's a 30% drop. But that drop happened in a period of 2 weeks. That's historic for one. But it also means that it can come back just as quick or over a 10-year period. So if you're invested in the long term of this, 10 years, I've had several, and I talk to a lot of investors and things like that, and they say 10 years, this will be yet another blip, right? We'll see what that happens. But I think it depends on how you are structured as a company or a business or something like that. Because I get it. Not every business is structured for this type of situation. Nobody was. Let's be honest.
No.
Nobody was. Right.
Yeah.
Our business is going to go out of business. Yes, that's going to happen, and that sucks. Right. Our business is going to thrive in this. Absolutely. So it's really hard to say definitively. I think as a whole, over the long term, we're going to be fine. We're going to do what Americans do, and we're going to rebuild, and we're going to, kick the crap out of stuff. But right now, it's just a really tough time.
Hey, I actually, sorry, I have to kick someone in our waiting room off, so I apologize. I'm just going to pick the first one. I think it's Kyle here, because we have Mike coming on, and I'm only allowed to have 6 people in the little waiting room here. So Kyle, come back on, or watch on Facebook Live, and then we'll get you on there. Sorry, he's one of our next guests, and I want to get Mike up on here. Do you think this will? So I was watching a thing on, I don't know what channel, one of the news stations, and they said that the restaurant world might never be the same again. And I'm like, how? And they said that the restaurant guy that they were talking to is someone famous, right? Let's say it's Wolfgang Puck or something like that.
Sure.
He said for like at least the next year, they're going to see a 30 to 40% drop, even when the ban gets lifted, because people are still going to be sitting. They're still going to be sitting far apart. No one's going to want to sit on top of each other. No one's going to, and some people won't have the money to go out. Some people won't have, I don't know, your thoughts on that.
Well, not just that. I think personally, for me, I don't mean to interrupt you real quick, Dan. My roommate and I were talking about this not long ago, and restaurants are going to see people, they're going to get a quick influx of everybody wanting to get out. But everybody's going to go back to realizing that home is nice. It's cheaper at home. You can, everything that you want, you can make at home. So you've had to sit at home and make food instead of go out and spend the money.
Look, I actually think there's an opportunity here for some businesses, right? What I think you're going to see go away is the excess. You're going to see the, hundreds of Wolfgang Puck things go away. They'll shrink in size, and you're going to see those restaurants that are kitschy and, have like that. They're not the homegrown, like the family diners. They're not the, the places where everybody enjoys and wants to go. I think they're going to reestablish or come out of this fine, right? So, but the things with the extras and the whatevers, right? That those kind of experience places, like, hey, I went there once and I never went again type places, right? And I hate to say it this way, but if you all remember the Rainforest Cafe, right? So they have one location left, and it's in San Antonio, right? They used to have hundreds.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But folks, this is, if you look at that model, people went there once and they didn't go back, right? So I think those places, and I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm saying those places that folks go to once and then aren't going to come back to, those are the places I think you're going to see struggle. But you're homegrown, you're localized, like the people that actually know the people that are running these businesses, you're talking about Revival, like that, they're going to have a tough time. But I think the community will absolutely surround them, and they will reestablish what they got, right?
I agree.
Yeah. And that, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, but I think there's another opportunity here, right? So think of this. Zoom what we're doing right now, Facebook, there's a platform here, not monetize. How do I say this? Monetize. Make money.
You can make up words on this podcast.
Monetize.
Yes, monetize. Right. That I think the restaurants could really benefit from. Right. So if you were at home and that head chef was like, hey, let's do some cooking classes. Let me show you how to do this, do that. Let's for real teach you how to do some of the stuff at home. I think there could be an opportunity there for a business to kind of virtualize some of their avenues. Would it be as profitable? No, but is it a revenue stream? It is. I mean, you look at was it Go Fresh and Blue Apron and you know what I mean? Like
those are basically restaurants, right? They're just sending you the ingredients.
So if you look at if the restaurants themselves, if they're ingrained in their communities, like we have a place here called the Vienna Inn in the local Virginia area, and everybody will travel to just get their chili dogs. They're chili dogs. There's nothing magical about them, but people go there to get their chili dogs, right? Dude, if they package those and started sending them out, in a Go Fresh type manner, I mean, that would be, to me, I think that would be a good revenue stream for them. But
adapt and overcome.
Right. And I think that's what I'm still texting with Mike trying to get him on, but I think that's something that he was doing, because there was a petition that came out and it said, let us at least prepare the drinks. And I think they had like a sealed container so you can't open it and come buy them curbside. And I think, so would I do that prior to this? No, I wouldn't be like, I'm going to go just do a drive-through thing. But you're right. You bring up a good point that in the community, we're supporting each other, right? Besides the assholes who are going out and doing everything wrong. Let's forget about them. Everyone that I know, at least, is taking their time to put money back into the community, right? Maybe they're going out to eat, taking out 2 or 3 times where they used to maybe go once a month or twice a month, right? So, and I mean, that's like us, we have a few restaurants that we're like, and we're trying to go to them, give them a little extra tip. Cause I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's something that is important, especially if you want to keep the local businesses in check.
Support them. That's what we've been doing. Any chance we get. Granted, we're also not trying to go poor while sitting at home. Any chance you get, support that local business. McDonald's will do fine. Taco Bell will do fine. It's that local mom and pop pizza place, Mexican place, right? That local China place. I mean, those places are great. I mean, there's a place down the road called White Oak Grill. They are awesome. They're doing little takeout burgers and their chili dogs. I love their chili dogs. I mean, you can't go wrong with little homemade, hole-in-the-wall type food, because it's not the best for you, but it's helped to keep that business open. So when times do pick back up, it's still there when you go to look for it.
Why do we have a spike of, how they have like, I think we were talking about it last time, a baby boom after something like this. They're going to have a spike in heart attacks.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Alcoholism and heart attacks in 6 months.
What were they saying? In 20 years, the country's going to be ran by stay-at-home parents and alcoholics.
Yeah, they're saying that in 20 years, our country will be run by kids that were homeschooled by day drinkers.
Thank you. That was it.
All right, there you go.
Paraphrasing. I was paraphrasing.
And it has crossed my mind. It has, because like on a Wednesday, the other day, I decided to take the afternoon off. Because I can, I've been doing a lot of like telemedicine and stuff like that. And it was like, I don't know, 12:30, and it was a Wednesday. And I was like, I could probably start drinking now. I'm not driving anywhere. Where am I going?
Right. That's funny. Speaking of drinking, Natasha Halverson on Facebook says local breweries in Colorado Springs are letting you do curbside pickup of beer growlers. Yep. That's awesome.
Virginia, DC, Maryland, they're all doing that right now.
And why
need that here?
Distilleries are as well.
Why wouldn't you allow, like, if you're any small business advocate for local industry, why wouldn't you just, even if it's temporarily, 3 months, 6 months, allow stuff like that to happen? Because I mean, it's our responsibility to keep each other in business. I mean,
I thought North Carolina wrote that in their governor executive order or whatever it's called. Like it's in the Virginia one. You can read it, and it says, breweries, distilleries that can still do curbside and basically bottle and sell. They just can't have people inside of their business. So I'm wondering if that could if Revival or something like that, the places that do that, they could probably in some manner package, right? So
I mean, they could, but then that goes. But the liquor and the alcohol laws for the state of North Carolina, they're not allowing that right now because you're still distributing outside of business.
No, I got you. The executive order could lift all that. That's what Virginia had to do.
It could, yeah, but I don't think they will. Not here.
So in the just curious, in the stay-at-home order for North Carolina, did they issue a memo or because Virginia, so Ralph Northam, our governor, issued the
guy's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He issued a letter, and it basically said things you can and can't do, but it was clear as day. These types of businesses are allowed to still do business, and then there was a clear and distinct bullet. Any business that sells food, liquor, whatever, is deemed essential and may do curbside and or delivery in any fashion, basically reasonable to them. So he gave a blanket, you can do it as long as it's packaged appropriately. And
so I had the order already up before we started this whole thing.
Yep.
And in here it says stuff for food and basically general provisions, but it does not allow alcohol to be distributed outside the business.
Oh, wow.
For delivery.
Yeah, and two, in North Carolina, there was some ambiguity in there, and they left it up to the Department of Revenue to determine what is considered an essential business versus non-essential.
ABC right at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once that order came down, I looked at it and I said, all right, this is going to suck for a few weeks. And then I went to work and I'm like, everyone's still on the roads. Like pretty much everything's essential.
Yeah.
Most stores, grocery store, I mean, you name it. And this is coming from, I don't know what other businesses, like who's out of business right now. I just brought Frank Easter. Am I saying right your name right? Easterling? Okay.
Close enough.
Okay, perfect. Does anyone know Frank?
I do.
I know Frank.
Yeah.
Awesome. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say goodbye to Greg. You can stay on, of course. We're just going to kind of roll people through, and then we'll bring up Frank so you can see him a little bit better. So what are your thoughts? You've been hanging out on this conversation. What are you thinking?
So I'm coming at this from basically like the consumer side. I'm not a small business owner. For me, I more look at this as if to say the veteran community is the community that I think is more apt to deal with.
So you broke up a little bit there. Can you try that again? Is he frozen? He's frozen.
Oh man.
If you can hear us, you might have to call us back, Frank. That's too bad. Did he say? Yeah. Oh wait, is he there?
He came back for a quick second.
Either he's a former sniper, so he knows how to stay really still. No, there he is. All right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we kind of got a little bit what you were saying. Yeah, it's just looks like a bad connection. We lost him again.
Yep. Okay. We're good now. Okay.
We'll try one more time. So we only got a little bit what you said, but you had mentioned that something about veterans and how we're responding to this. So try that again.
Well, again, for me, what I'm saying is veterans, we're almost in a sense kind of built for this in a sense because we're used to the hurry up and wait. We're used to, I don't know, I can't remember if it was Dan that said or if it was Jeremy that said it. We're used to the first order almost never working or the first plan never working out. So you got to adjust fire. You have to switch up. So with everything that's going on, so we're in the first part of it. Virus came down, people kind of picked up, people kind of freaked out. Order came down. Okay, here's $2 trillion, which is an unbelievable number. But so we all know half of that isn't going to work. So we're going to have to adjust fire. The thing about it is when you look back at history, we've always gone through something like this, like over decades. So we've had, measles, we've had, typhoid, we've had polio, we've had malaria, we've had the other scare was Ebola. So we've had these different scares. I'm not anything worse or better. What I'm saying is there will be a sense of normalcy that will come out of this, whether it be in June or July or August. Uh, Basically, it'll be a new normal, but it will normalize. I think the problem is, since the society that we're in now lives and dies off of everything being fix this now. This needs to be fixed
Yeah.
now. They're not used to the wait, where things are going to get worse, but after a while, things get better. Nobody panicked when the flu took out tens of thousands of people last year. No one freaked out. It wasn't on the news. It wasn't on. This one kind of snuck up on people, but at the same time, there will be a new normal, if not kind of sort of the same normal. Like, to Dan's point, what he said, will businesses go out? Will small businesses go? Will some businesses leave or lose out? Yeah, some businesses unfortunately are going to close. One of your favorite restaurants that you used to go to may not be there in 2 or 3 months. It's unfortunate, but to Sully's point, to Kevin's point, this is also at the same time an opportunity. Okay, because you at least had a skeleton or a base or a model of what your business was. There's nothing saying you can't come back and put that same model out there because it worked, or take that model what you had and build it back up.
Right.
Hell yeah.
It's all it takes a moment just to look forward and see what's coming next. You know, I know, granted, not literally you can't see what's coming next. It's impossible. But you have to look to the future. You have to look ahead of you. Instead of looking right in front of your face, you got to look a mile ahead. You got to look and see where you can, like you just said a minute ago, adjust fire. You got to shift, adjust fire, and move forward. You can't just sit in a spot and hope a handout, a grant, or this thing ends tomorrow. You can't just hope for it. You have to make the effort and get yourself out there and make either may apply for a interest-free loan that they're offering, or find some kind of relief that your current state is offering.
Yeah.
So, Mike.
Hey.
All right, so we're going to roll. Dan, do you have any parting things? You can stay on, Dan. Greg jumped off. He's gone. So, but if you want to stay on and listen, feel free. And we can't even pull you back up again. So thanks for coming on, Dan. All right, everyone.
Thanks, Dan.
We have the much anticipated Mike Stojic, former, where's hold on, I'm trying to take you off here. There we go. Former Marine Corps officer, current co-owner of Revival 1869 in the heart of Clayton, North Carolina. We've talked about it a lot on this podcast, on my previous podcast. And yeah, but you can never give it too many.
Fine bearded American right there.
He is. Yeah, you guys
sure
have.
Is.
Now, do we have to whip out the measuring tape and see whose is longer?
He wins hands down. He wins.
I just got this short little Irish beard.
I'm good.
So, Mike, how you doing? How you hanging in there?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
All things considered.
Yeah. So let's get into Revival. Has been a dream of yours since way back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. It more or less started when I was in Iraq, when we were all sitting around on our MIT team trying to, we're all, what you do when you get bored, you sit around and think about and talk about what do you want to do when you get back and when you get out of the Marines and all this sort of thing. And I was like, man, I used to bartend in college and wait tables, and I thought that was fun. So it was always a dream to open up a bar, restaurant thing. And that was kind of where the idea came from. And then obviously it evolved into something different. I mean, it's still a bar, but not what I originally thought.
Yeah, it's more of a from the user standpoint. It's more of a, I don't want to call it it's like having your own whiskey den. It's like if I could take a part of my house and turn it into a place where I just want to sit on a couch and drink whiskey and hang out, that's what Revival would be.
Thanks. Yeah, that's kind of what we went for when we finally sat down and started planning it. When Malia and I started really planning what Revival was going to be like, we wanted to create, it all revolved around the experience first. When we wanted this really cool idea where people come back to being people again. And it was important that the environment was conducive to that. So, there are no televisions. The furniture is really comfortable. The bar is really great. We use Um, we built the bar with our hands, and the back bar, and the idea was to create this very comfortable, interesting place that kind of got people talking. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, no, it absolutely does, because it's more than. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but it's more than, your local bar to get some yellow beer, as my family used to call it, yellow beer, and the baseball game. It's way more than that. It's an experience, and you actually learn something. You know what I mean? Like, when I go to get a beer at a local pub to watch a baseball game, I'm not really learning anything. I'm there to tune out. But when you go to Revival, I always try a different whiskey, bourbon or whatever, and the bartenders are knowledgeable. Everybody's knowledgeable, and you leave knowing a little bit more than when you came in, which is way different than your typical bar. Because I've left a lot of bars, actually forgotten portions of my life forever as a result of the bar. So you literally put your blood, sweat, and tears into this thing. I mean, it's a dumb question, but did you have any idea that something like this could happen? Did you have anything like in the back of your head said, okay, what if, I don't know, a tornado? What if, did you ever think of that stuff?
Oh, no. Oh, hell no. No one did.
Yeah.
Like this, a virus to take over the planet?
Yeah, I would
literally, the planet is out. We're all done for a while, it's like take a time out. So no, I think it's impossible to plan for something like this. And it's funny because a lot of our regulars come in, because we're still open for a few days a week, because not only the whiskey, but we do craft cocktails. And in that, we make all of our syrups in-house. We don't buy syrups. It's all made with real and fresh and true ingredients. And people love it, man, like our tonics and our ginger syrups and all that stuff. So we're selling that stuff by the bottle so people can take it home and make their own cocktails. And we're creating cocktail kits, too, for people to take home and do on their own. And so a lot of our regulars come in and they still support us and buy those things and have these conversations all the time. Like, what could you do differently? Could you plan for it? And it's like, hell no, you can't. It's almost impossible. Like, you have insurances to protect against, if you're in a hurricane area or a flood area or a tornado area, there are insurances for that. So when you get hit, well, your insurance will help you out and rebuild. But there's not a single business on the planet that has virus insurance. It's pretty nuts for your whole industry to get completely shut down. The service and hospitality industry, probably more than any, was shut down about 3 weeks ago. And now more industries are being shut down in the last few days. But, that's the entire industry across the country. So it's just, I don't know if there is anything. I think at the end of this, I was talking to, and Kevin, Charlie Cruz, he's my insurance guy. Okay. And we were talking because, now there's a 9/11 insurance for terrorism. So if you're a business, you can get terrorist insurance. So if your business got blown up, you're protected.
Now, if they found out that this was purposely released, would that kick in? I wonder.
Yeah. No.
Oh man.
Like, how the hell is that going to happen?
Here's a question. Here's a question.
Hold of a can of worms.
Do you?
Oh my God.
So, like, if you had tornado insurance, obviously it's one of those things where it's most likely not going to happen, and if it does happen, it's in a laser focused area of the world. This being so widespread, was there any way that people? And I'm not talking about specifically viral here. I'm saying, is there any insurance that covers for just loss of business for whatever reason? Like if you had.
No, that's where that stimulus, the $2.2 trillion plan, is supposed to help for that. There's different things, and our bank is looking into it. We got a really great banker who's looking into the different monies that are now available, and some seem like a really great deal. There's this payroll program that's going to come out where it's essentially free money. And then there's other SBA loans, but of course you take those out, you're paying them back, and there's interest on top of it. So the trouble with that is if you're in a business, and I'll use Revival as an example, we were doing very well in January and February, and we were looking at expanding and opening up another business down the street. So for now, for us, the money that was going into that other business has to be pulled back and to help Revival stay alive. And it's like, well, you could take out this SBA loan. And it's like, yeah, for sure you could, but now I'm borrowing money that I never really needed before.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't need this. And then now it's an additional burden on top of, the regular burden of just operating in an industry that has very slim margins as it is. It's not always easy to make money in food and alcohol unless you're doing it right and you own a couple different places. So the SBA loan, I mean, yeah, sure, it's there and they're making it easier for you to get, but once this thing's all over, you're going to have to start paying it back on top of all the other stuff that you got to pay back also. And then you're also with that added interest. The $2.2 trillion thing with the payroll is pretty nice. It's free money, essentially, the way I understand it, which is really great. And it's a smart move by the government to do, because if you think about it, if all of our employees go on unemployment and then every other restaurant and bar has all their employees going on unemployment, that's going to cost the government a heck of a lot more money putting money towards unemployment. If they just give the businesses money for payroll purposes so we can keep our guys employed and pay them that way, they're going to pay a lot. There's a lot less money involved in something like that. So by giving bars and restaurants and I don't know, maybe other industries also money to keep their people on payroll and keep them paid what they would normally get if times were good, it's a really smart move. And we won't have to pay that. The way it looks, we shouldn't have to pay that back, because it's actually cheaper for the government to give us that money to keep our people employed than it is for our guys to go on unemployment and run the potential of staying on that even longer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing. There's no insurance. And, likely is that you're going to get a lot of insurance agencies at the when this thing all is said and done. And they're like, hey, $5 or $7 extra a month and you can have your anti-COVID, protection policy. And it's like, well, the likelihood of this happening again,
another 100 years or something.
Yeah. Who can say? And it's kind of like the next terrorist attack. Is it going to happen in Clayton? Who the fuck knows? Yeah. So whatever, it's one of those wacky things, I think. How
are your people doing? Are you keeping close tabs on them?
Yeah. So we just did a pretty big deep clean, even though we didn't need to do it because we've been cleaning since this thing started. It was more about camaraderie than anything else. And I think most military guys get it, even when you're doing something shitty that sucks, just getting everyone together, even if it's something like cleaning and you get a chance to joke around and have that camaraderie again, it's a morale booster. And that was the whole point of the deep clean, was to create a morale booster. Because we're around, especially our industry, it's a fun place to be. We joke a lot, we make drinks, we have a good time, the guest has a good time, and it's just a really fun place to be. And when you take that away, you're in 3 weeks of not having it, for people who are, very social types and who are used to being around a lot of people. Now you kind of put them in a room. It's depressing as shit, man.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah.
So
especially
we're doing things like that, and we're going to maybe get some training in the works so we can at least once or twice a week, and then plus to get some hours on the books, because there's still a little bit of money there where we can help out and help them. And then we got good friends, so that helped us with some food too, that provided food for the staff when we were doing these sort of trainings, which was really nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
now,
that was really great.
That's back to what Sully said earlier about like one industry helping the other and it being kind of like a ripple effect, or like, throwing a pebble in a pond. So what Mike's doing, still making his spirits, like he said, or his syrups earlier, and it's all from homegrown materials. So that's a whole other industry that is still alive because he's still doing what he's doing. The restaurants that are giving his employees food, they're still up and running because it's so it's like one industry helping another industry, helping another industry. So as long as people just keep going, and we can beat this easily if we just keep stay the course and just keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree 100%. Mm-hmm.
Do you have a message for your patrons for the next 6 months, for the next 3 months? We'll say 3 months and then 6 months, 2 months next week.
Don't jinx it, man. Come on.
I know, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, another thing this whole virus thing has done has made us really rethink our business model. So we're shifting our model in stride, which is very difficult to do, and it's going to cost some money. So where we were really focused, on-premise type sales, where we create cocktails, we teach about whiskey, we do jazz on Saturday. Now some of our focus is shifting, And that's the big thing I would tell people is we're still going to do this bar once we come out of this thing, but it's forcing us to shift almost into another industry, more retail focused. And that focuses on the hobby bartender, or the what's also known as like a hobby mixologist. So it's like just any person who enjoys making cocktails, really good cocktails at home, but doesn't, that's not a bartender, doesn't want to be a bartender, but really wants to do that at home thing. And I always think, like, it's kind of like the way it was in the 1950s, when people would have cocktail parties and do neat things and make Tom Collins and gin and tonics and martinis and old fashions and Manhattans and stuff from their homes and have these really cool cocktail parties. I think you're going to start seeing some of that. So we're shifting huge and we're researching a lot and getting into the bottling of our syrups and creating at-home cocktail kits where we'll do some of our own branding, and you can buy the different shaker tins, mixing glasses, spoons, jiggers, and those sorts of things. And then we're going to do online courses where we'll teach you how to make certain types of drinks.
Yeah. Well,
using our product.
You could roll over and say, woe is me, this sucks for us, our business got hit. Or you can just look at your hand and say, like hand of cards, and be like, all right, what next? Obviously we have to close. So what are we going to do next? And I think that's an attitude, that's ultimately going to help out a lot of people across the country. I'm trying to.
Oh, for sure. It's interesting because I've already heard, we're tied in pretty good with a lot of the local businesses here in Clayton, and some of them are shifting focus and in stride, making these pretty neat changes. And then other ones are not, they're just kind of like, fuck it. And you can see the ones who come out on the other end after they shifted their stride. Well, they just opened up a whole nother revenue stream, which is going to be pretty neat. And they've evolved their business into something. So there's a couple ways to look at it. Like you said, Kevin, you can just kind of roll over and do nothing. And when the money dries up, now you're out of work. Or you can, look for some sort of opportunity and strike at it and work towards it. And hopefully it works out, which is what we're doing. Yeah. And then, that opens up a whole nother market.
Or you can be medicine where businesses are booming. Frank, I'm gonna roll you out, Frank, and then bring Kyle back on. So thanks for coming on, man. I wanted to really. Were you a bomb tech? Obviously.
Yes, I was.
Which branch?
I was a combat engineer in the Marines for 7 years, then a recruiter.
Oh,
then
nice.
Bomb
That's
tech
1371. I was a 1302. I was a combat engineer also.
Yep, 1371.
Hey, me too. Nice. 1371.
Hey.
I flew airplanes. Damn it.
I mean,
yeah, he got quiet real quick.
Cool story, bro.
Cool. Air Force, we had some cool things.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right, Frank. That's enough out of you. All right. You can stay on in the green room. We'll bring up Kyle. Let's see. Where is he? He's gone. All right. Well, we were going to bring Kyle. Oh, there he is. Let's see if we can get him on here. All right. Can you hear us, man? He's there. I don't know if he knows. Kyle, you're on the air. Kyle, you're our 11th caller.
Kyle.
All right. I don't know if it's Kyle. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Turn down your other thing there because it's.
Turn your braziers off.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Turn down.
You can hear your background.
Is it off? All right, good. Kyle, so what tell us about yourself. How do you know Reverent Warriors, and what brings you to the economic discussion, which is a little more mature than we usually do? I think we're not. We don't.
Yeah. So Marine Corps veteran myself. I did a Silkies hike up in Jacksonville when I was. Sorry, backlog.
Something's messed up.
Yeah, so did a silky hike up in Jacksonville when I was active duty. That was a while ago. That was the only one I ever did. I got into real estate about 2 years ago with my wife. She's been in the business for about 5 years. And right around the same time I started in real estate, I created a Facebook group for military and law enforcement officers and first responders for Southeast North Carolina. Currently, we're the largest Facebook group of its kind in our area. And I met Matt Reeves through there, and he's the one that brought me into Irreverent Warriors Wilmington.
Okay.
And so I signed up for the hike here. I signed up as a sponsor, and he tagged me in y'all's post, and yeah. So.
How's the real estate industry going to cope with this? I mean, I imagine that if people were out looking for a house before it, they might want to put the brakes on a little bit until they figure out what's going to happen. I think we have a huge delay.
There's a delay.
Yeah, I might have to bounce him because it's driving me crazy. Sorry, Kyle. He's going to figure it out here in a second. We'll bring Dan back up. Hey, Dan, you're back on.
Oh, hey.
So yeah, Kyle came on. We had some issues. There was like a 30-second delay, and it wouldn't be conducive to interviewing. Kyle, you'll be on a next one. Just switch from AOL dial-up and get something good. So I mean that's basically everything. Let's see if I can watch this. I'll bring everyone here back up. So I think that's basically all our topics. I mean, is there something we didn't talk about that you guys want to pass on to some eager veterans that are listening to this at home by themselves or locked into their quarantine?
Honestly, so went back to a question you kind of posted in our little email, is coming from Mike, who's been a little while kind of business owner. What do you say to business owners that are coming up? What do you say to them? What do you do for the next 6 to 12 months, as not only is it difficult to start your job, keep it going and maintain it, but to go from here after this ends? What do you say to them?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, normally I have this whole.
I said Mike. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to hear. I'm on my cell phone. But normally I have this whole talk about perseverance and persistence. But this is kind of uncharted territory. So this is kind of interesting. So right now, I would say you really need to examine your business model, and if you're already in business, well, hopefully you're in one of those industries that's still allowed to work. But if you're in something like hospitality or service, which is what I'm in, you really got to figure out a way to adapt quickly, because having the amount of money to sustain this thing any longer than a couple months is improbable, so it's an interesting thing. So which is what we're doing, is we're looking at ways to kind of adapt what we do as a business mid-stride and make it work. But if you're not in yet and you can still get money and live off of that, then I would hold on to that plan and that business idea until after this whole thing's over, and then get into it. And then the big thing is, once you're in business, it's not always easy. So I always say, like, the most important thing is persistence. It's persevering and pushing through hard times, because you never know, that one next step, or right around the corner, you might end up. That's when you hit it big. And up until that point, it's you're busting your ass and working. And one of these times, you never know, but you'll get it. So never give up. And I wish I would have done my research prior to this. I forgot we were filming, but I got this Calvin Coolidge about persistence. If you just Google Calvin Coolidge, our president, and type in persistence, he's got this really great quote about it, and that's kind of one of the things that we follow. So do you
think that the government, because there's going to be some businesses that are gone, they just, this won't bode well for them, and they'll be gone. I assume that the government will want to stimulate new businesses. They'll want to get people back into the market. Do you think there's going to be programs? I mean, to maybe help.
There's going to be a lot of spending. I was talking to a financial advisor recently, and they think that, we haven't really hit the worst of it. So at some point it's going to be a V. We're going to lose a bunch of money. It's all going to come down. Stocks are going to lose value. And then at some point, this whole thing's going to over. People are going to come, out of their fear, and they're going to realize the potential. Everything's going to be low price. We're going to start buying into it, and you're going to see a sharp uprising. It's just going to go through the roof, and there's going to be a tremendous amount of opportunity. I don't know if there's going to be a need for programming at that point, because I think things will be cheap enough for people to get into new industries. There's going to be a lot of opportunity. One of the articles I'd read said something like 1 in 3 to 1 in 4 bars and restaurants in America will be closed before this whole thing is over, because they're just going to go out a bit. They won't be able to sustain through the whole thing. And when you lose that, you still have the talent out there. The cooks, the waitresses, the bartenders are still there. Now someone can get in. There's going to be a space for it, and they're going to get in and they're going to open. So I think that with every disaster, there's always some sort of opportunity. It's just all a matter of how you look at it and how you find those opportunities.
Will it thin out the businesses that were doomed to fail to begin with? Maybe people who had poor.
Oh, it already has.
Okay.
I already know of a couple that are like just close their doors. They're like, hey, we're done. We're done. It's only been a couple of weeks, but they've already thrown in the towel.
Man, that's
so
yeah, it's really happening.
On
it's
our
a
Facebook
sad thing. Look, I don't mean to joke, and I'm not laughing at them. It's a very sad thing. Like, you never want to.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Like that happen, because it's awful. Because there's still a lot of people on payroll, and and they're going to suffer because of that. But it's a very unfortunate thing. Yeah.
So on Facebook, we have a couple of people. One person asked a question. My friend Natasha Valerio, she's a prior Marine Corps MP. I served with her together in Fallujah, and she asked, "What are you doing to keep your employees motivated and wanting to stick it out through everything?" Mike.
Oh, so the big thing is for us. I mean, it's like what I mentioned earlier with the deep cleaning, getting everyone together. Having an opportunity to joke around. We're still paying. We did a couple training where I did whiskey training. We want to do some more like that. We may go to just some different. That's so. The other thing is if you took care of your people before this, and they understand that there's that they understand your compassion and that you actually care for them beforehand, then they know they're going to care for you during this and throughout it. So if you were an asshole going into it, then there's really nothing you can do to maintain morale or motivation.
Yeah,
so
right.
If you're like a really good person prior, and you were a good leader, and you were taking care of people prior to this, well, then you're going to find ways to do that throughout this. And one of the ways we do it is, Revival turned 3 years old about a week ago, so we did a party anyway. We're like, for the staff, we didn't invite anyone to it. It was kind of a closed door thing, but we did it anyway, and it was fun. And we had everyone there joking around. We did the deep clean, and we're going to do more things like that. We're going to try as long as we can to do things like that.
Oh man, you went happy 3 years old. 3 years. Let's have a good time. Get cleaning.
Yeah, you know how it goes.
So we gotta have a Irreverent Warriors meet and greet there or something, maybe in September, and just drop a lot of money. Maybe go out in the back porch, maybe do another movie night or something like that. That'd be awesome. Yeah,
so we're hoping to plan something like that right before the hike. You get a bunch of people out there and have a good old time, and just to kind of, especially now, help get businesses booming again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks,
Dan. Do you have any parting wisdom?
No, but I just want to hone in on something Mike said, and I mean, he said it right. Like, look, this time sucks. Like, let's be honest. Nobody likes to be sitting in a fucking room like we are right now, just all separated. So, but he's 100% correct. Like, the pure leadership will show through. So, in his own words, if you're an asshole before, you're still an asshole, right? So, and people are going to gravitate towards that and this. And I applaud this because this is something different, right? This is something cool that people are learning. Getting together, and obviously, right? So Irreverent Warriors is all about getting veterans together, but I just think it's a different time, and we just have some patience, have some good leadership, and help your communities. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, and I applaud Mike for his comments because they were on point, 100%.
Awesome. Frank, any parting wisdom? Any plugs? We didn't plug anything of yours.
I've got nothing to plug except for all this bearded deliciousness. No, but as far as parting wisdom, my thing is just, as your husband and a father, I could actually go to my office and work, but with everything that's going on, I feel it's best for me to be here, with my wife and with my kids. My daughter's home from college because they canceled all the courses. So she's here taking the online courses. I have my at-home workstation here. My wife's is over there about 8 feet in that direction. My thing is just, it's as much as it sucks, and like Dan said, it sucks, and it does, and it's going to for a little while longer. But we're gonna come out of this, eventually. There will be a normal, like I said, whether it's gonna be a new normal or the normal that we're kind of used to. We just have to, and I hate to say it, but I get a lot of cringe, but we just have to embrace the suck for a little while. We got to get out our cherry flavored straws and just suck it up for a little bit. And after a while, we will be okay. It's nobody's fault on one side of the aisle or the other side of the aisle. None of that. That's not the time for any of that. Right now, it's just, this is the time where you get to know your wife, get to know your kids, get to know, your family. So the silver lining in all of that is just be you, do you, be a better person, suck it up, and after a while, we'll be okay. And I get to go to Mike's bar and beg him for drinks in about 2 months.
Nice. Yeah, man. I totally agree with you on that. I plug this book all the time, but there's a great book out there called Tribe by Sebastian Junger. And he talks a lot about during the worst times of our lives. And he talked about the Blitz in Britain during World War II, how it was terrible, right? It was a terrible experience. Bombs were dropping, buzz bombs. It was a terrible experience. But people look back on it after 10 or 20 years with a slight fondness to how it brought everyone together. And, I've read more books to my kids in the last 2 weeks. I've spent more time building forts and playing Nerf guns in the backyard, stuff that, we would have baseball games or we would have, shit to go to on a Saturday, but now it's just 100% your home. And if you don't make the best of it, you're just going to wallow in your own pity. But instead, use this. You're right. Make connections. You're in 20 years, you're going to look back and go, there was some good we got out of it. I mean, as bad as everything sucks, and I hope the death toll doesn't go up as high as it's going to go, and I hope these businesses make it through. But this little silver lining could be that, maybe we connect again and we're not doing this, all day long, and maybe there'll be some silver lining. All right, gentlemen.
We can all hope so.
With that, we've been on for over an hour. I was trying to go for an hour this time, but we always go long. I really appreciate you guys coming on. Good luck to Revival 1869. Keep us posted. And Dan, good luck with your secret squirrel stuff. Do you work from home now, or?
Yeah, I'm not.
I always joke with Dan that he's the. I don't remember the name of it. What's that new TV show with the guy from The Office? Jack Ryan. I was like, you're Jack Ryan, aren't you?
God.
Yeah.
With that baby face, come on.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. He's unassuming, right? Next thing you know, anyways, guys, thanks for coming on. As always, check out 21gun.net for everything 21 Gun. Go over to revival1869.com or check them out on Facebook. irreverentwarriors.com for any information. We don't have any hikes coming up, but when this finally blows over, we will have some hikes. But remember, it's more than about hikes. It's more about getting together. And like we've talked about, the theme, persevere when things are shitty. Come up with different ways. And I think people have been doing that. And that's really all I have. So thank you guys. And till next time.
Solly, do you want the quote?
What's that?
I have it in front of me. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
All right, so this is what Mike talked about, the Calvin Coolidge persistence, right? So it says, nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful man with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Calvin Coolidge.
I like it. Great way to end.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
All right.
All right. So the broadcast is over.